Now to our regular campaign debate, and we're joined in the studio by Anthony Albanese, Minister for Infrastructure, and in Brisbane by Liberal Senator George Brandis, who's also the Shadow Attorney General. Thanks to both of you for being here, but now tonight, Kevin Rudd has given a 16-minute interview to Radio National's Late Night Live. He's denied being the leaker of negative stories about Julia Gillard. He said he's committed to a Labor victory and that he's seeking to work in government, but is relaxed about which position he could hold. Supportive words, but regardless, Labor is facing another day of Kevin Rudd dominating the headlines. Anthony Albanese, should he have remained silent?
No, he's made it clear that he's going to campaign for the re-election of the Labor government and Julia Gillard as the Prime Minister. He, of course, is our candidate for Griffith in the election, and Julia has indicated that he would play a key role in a future government post-August 21.
Was this a campaign-authorised interview, or is this something that's come as a surprise to you all?
Look, I have no idea, but it's not surprising that Kevin Rudd is doing what he said he would do. He said that once he'd overcome his health issues, and obviously they're still there, you don't overcome such a serious operation in a matter of days, but clearly he's now able to conduct a radio interview, and he's done that.
Have you spoken to him about this?
Oh, I certainly have spoken to him in recent days, and you know, it's a tough operation that he's had, but he's determined, as are all of us, to ensure that the federal Labor government is re-elected, because he and I know what a threat Tony Abbott represents to the future of this country.
I've got to stick with you just for a minute before I go to George Brandis. Did you ask him whether this was a good idea, doing an interview like this? Because it's obviously going to...
I didn't ask him about whether prior to or him doing the interview. That's his decision.
But you're supportive of his decision to do this interview because it will dominate the headlines tomorrow when Julia Gillard's trying to dominate the headlines.
He's going to campaign, and he's made that very clear, as are all the Labor team.
George Brandis, are you surprised? Are you surprised that Kevin Rudd's broken his silence, first of all? And what impact do you think it'll have if he's actually very supportive, as it sounds, of the government?
Well, look, it's not really for me to comment. I haven't seen or heard the interview yet, Tony. I don't really want to get in the way of the Labor Party's ongoing blood feud. That's really a matter for them. But I note that apparently Mr Rudd has emphatically denied being the leaker. If that's true, and the Liberal Party, by the way, have never accused Mr Rudd of being the leaker. That accusation has come from Labor Party figures like Mr Latham. But if that's true, we wonder which cabinet...
Mark Latham left the Labor Party a while ago, George.
We wonder which cabinet... Well, I think most people, Anthony, regard Mark Latham as a Labor Party figure. After all, it's only 2 elections ago that you people wanted to make him Prime Minister.
I think we might jump beyond Mark Latham for the purposes of this discussion.
Indeed, but my point is, if it be the case that Mr Rudd isn't the leaker, then that begs a very important question. Which current cabinet minister or cabinet ministers was the leaker? And we know that there must be at least one current cabinet minister or cabinet ministers who is the leaker, because Monday's Financial Review contained a blow-by-blow description of the cabinet discussions post the political assassination of Mr Rudd, when we know he wasn't at the cabinet meeting when climate change policy was discussed.
Anthony Albanese is a good point. If it's not him, it has to be someone very senior currently in the government.
Oh, look, this sort of speculation is, I think, of little consequence in terms of the issues that are facing the Australian people.
But here we are again. But seriously, here we are again talking about Kevin Rudd, because he's done an interview tonight and he's now back in the spotlight. I mean, he's taken it away from you, your policies, from Julia Gillard. I mean, should he remain silent?
Not right. He's done an interview about the importance of re-electing Julia Gillard as Prime Minister, about why it's important that we not have a Prime Minister who thinks that climate change is crap, about why it's important we don't have a Prime Minister who wants to bring back work choices, about why it's important we don't have a Prime Minister that wants to make savage cuts to trades training centres, to GP super clinics, to national infrastructure. George raised the Financial Review. I mean, I note that today there's talk about a mini budget from Joe Hockey. The last time the opposition, the coalition came to government, they immediately cut $2 billion from our roads budget. And as Infrastructure Minister, I'm very concerned that the coalition have learnt nothing and they would continue to do what they've always done, which is not pay due regard to infrastructure and skills and building the national economy.
All right, I'm going to press this Kevin Rudd issue for one more question, because he said, evidently, I can't stand idly by with Tony Abbott sliding into office by default. I mean, he appears to be indicating that that's what's happening under the now new Julia Gillard, or real Julia Gillard-led campaign.
No, he's indicating his opposition to Tony Abbott and his commitment to the election of Julia Gillard on August 21, because that's important for all those who are passionate about the nation moving forward. He refers specifically in tonight's interview, for example, about the National Broadband Network, something of which all of us are very proud. Moving Australia into the digital economy, what we need to do for the 21st century. And we simply can't afford to go backwards with Tony Abbott, with his extreme right-wing agenda that he holds on not just economic policy, but of course on social policy as well.
All right, George Brandis, if Kevin Rudd does come out and start campaigning openly for Julia Gillard, being supportive of the government, that is damaging, is it not, for Tony Abbott's campaign?
Well, look, Tony Abbott's campaign is positively focused. It doesn't rely upon the fear and the kind of boilerplate rhetoric that we've just heard from Anthony Albanese, which is essentially all the Labor Party's got left as its own campaign has descended from confusion into low farce. Now, what Mr Rudd chooses to do, what the Labor Party chooses to do with these two rival politicians, Ms Gillard and Mr Rudd, is really a matter for it. We're not going to be distracted or deflected in what we have to say to the Australian people, our message that only a change of government will stop the boats, will stop the
This
new
is
tax,
a positive message.
will stop the waits,
Well, I'm waiting
and
for the positive
reduce
message,
government
George.
spending and reduce the debt. Now, that's what Tony Abbott has been saying. Those are the four core promises that a coalition government makes to the Australian people, and if the Labor Party sort of engages in this dance of death between Julia Gillard and Kevin Rudd, you know, it's a distraction perhaps, but we're not going to be distracted by it ourselves.
All right, Anthony Albanese, I just want to pose a question here, because, I mean, you've got, as I understand it, a big infrastructure announcement to make tomorrow. Kevin Rudd's interview is going to take it off the front pages, isn't it?
Well, tomorrow we will be. I'll be speaking to the Infrastructure Partnerships Australia conference in Melbourne, and we'll be announcing a high-level feasibility study, $20 million for high-speed rail between Newcastle and Sydney as the first stage for what would be an East Coast high-speed rail link that is a necessary component of our future infrastructure. And this is an important announcement. I think it's consistent with what we've done, which is increased funding for rail by more than 10 times. We've doubled the expenditure on roads. We've got a range of regulatory and policy reform to improve the use of existing infrastructure. We're about using smart infrastructure to get the most out of it.
Before you go too broad on this, let's just hear exactly what it is you're proposing. A high-speed rail network, or a proposal to look at one, is more precise, between Brisbane and Melbourne, is that right? Right down the East Coast?
That's right, right down the East Coast, but specifically, in the first instance, to look at in a concentrated way that hasn't been done before between Newcastle and Sydney, including looking at the corridors, looking at the costs and the financing of it, looking at the geotechnical work that would need to be done, having a full and proper examination of it. It would commence later this year and be completed within 18 months.
A high-speed rail network would obviously, between those three cities really, it'd be Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, with links along the way, would cost tens and tens of billions of dollars and would take presumably an awful long time to build. Do you have any kind of idea of costs and of timing?
Well, in terms of Newcastle, Sydney, that's why we're examining that quite clearly with the population concentration that is there. The work that we've done already indicates that that would be the most viable. We would look at private sector financing for such an arrangement. We know that that's working in other places internationally, and that is one of the reasons why we're making this commitment to move forward in this way.
Let's hear from George Brandis. I mean, is that something that you might conceivably get bipartisan support for? A high-speed rail net